Welcome to another night in the NBA. This is your 10-minute recap of the last night of NBA hoops, and it's time to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, because as a team that's as good as they are, it feels like they're going under the radar, but last night's win against the Clippers, I think will go a long way for how they're perceived for the rest of the season, and how people kind of respect them and take them as a real team, because the Pelicans are 5th place in the Western Conference, and I think they are 40-26. Let me check the record for sure. Yes, they are 40-26, 14 games above 500, and currently 5th place in the West. But they're only 2 games back of the Clippers for 4th place, and they have the tiebreaker because the Pelicans have beat the Clippers 3 out of 4 times this season. They're just a very good team matchup-wise against the Clippers, like they are against the Kings. A lot of these kind of finesse teams without a great big really struggle against the Pelicans because of their size and their length, and it's going to be a problem for a lot of teams, and I think they're so much more dangerous than a lot of people are giving them credit for, and it's going to be close when it comes to the chase for 4th place in the Western Conference, because the Clippers have won just 5 of their last 10 games, but the Pelicans have won 5 of their last 6 and are gaining ground, it seems like, every single night, and it's going to be a show to watch. But last night we saw Zion Williamson go for 34 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and shot 67% from the field. Zion was dominant, and I mean, who's going to stop him if you're the Clippers? Are you going to throw Zubac on him? Are you going to throw Kawhi on him? A lot of teams just don't have a big enough power forward to stop Zion when he's coming downhill, and if you want to throw your center on him, the Pelicans will welcome that, because it just throws you more out of your scheme than you would have wanted, because Jonas Valanciunas is the Pelicans center, not Zion. So when you take your center out of position to try to guard Zion in the post, 1, it's going to put him in foul trouble, and 2, it just takes him away from your other center, which makes the Pelicans so dangerous. The duo of Zion and Valanciunas down low is super impactful, but they're just super balanced all around. They are 7-4 since the All-Star break. It is tied for 3rd best in the Western Conference over that stretch, but like I said, 5 of their last 6 and 6 of their last 8 as well. But the scoring for them, there's just a lot of impactful players. Zion is leading the way since the All-Star break at 23 points per game, but then you have Brandon Ingram at 20, Trey Murphy III at 17. If you haven't seen Trey Murphy lately, you gotta watch out for that, because Trey Murphy is splashing right now. He's hitting a lot of threes. He's taking them with confidence, and he just looks like a very impactful player on the game right now. Yes, he's coming off the bench, but who cares, because he is really good. CJ McCollum at 14 points per game. That's about as low as you'll see him since the All-Star break. Herb Jones at 11, and then you have Valanciunas at 9 and a bunch of other guys right around that range. But the shooting has really ticked up, because Herb Jones is shooting an astounding 57% from deep. The 3-and-D arc of Herb Jones as a two-way player has been really impressive, because he was already one of the best wing defenders in the entire league, but now on top of that, he's becoming a very respected offensive option as well. You can't leave Herb open because he's hitting those threes, and he's just really dangerous on both ends right now. 60% from the field and 57% from deep since the All-Star game. Trey Murphy III is shooting 41% from deep, 38 for Brandon Ingram, 43 for Valanciunas, 43 for Jose Alvarado, 41 for Najee Marshall. You're just getting so many guys that are shooting the ball at like a shockingly impressive rate right now for the Pelicans. And yes, that'll probably go down a little bit, but I don't think it takes away from how impressive the guys are and how dangerous this team is, because they can out physical you, take you into the rim, but they can also shoot the ball really well. Zion looks really, really physical right now and unstoppable at the rim. Mount Zion, I want to call him, because he is built. He's strong. He's huge. Like we called Charles Barkley the round mound of rebound, I want to call Zion Mount Zion, like the giant mountain. Or you can call him Xanos. That's a big name for him as well, like Thanos. But the Pelicans are really fun to watch. They're super well balanced. They're deep. They can do pretty much everything you want on the basketball court. And I believe, like, since the first month of the season or something, they're second in net rating, I heard. They've just been super impressive and have gone really under the radar, but they deserve a lot more attention because Zion and the Pelicans are dangerous. But now let's move on to some other action from around the NBA. So in other action around the NBA, we did have 5 other games on the night, 6 games in total, a little bit of a light night of NBA hoops, and we'll just go through each of them and try to get an idea of what happened on this night of NBA basketball. Let's start off with Heat versus Pistons, a game in Detroit. The Pistons had won 3 of their last 4 games, and all of a sudden it looked like, oh, are the Pistons impressive? Are they actually kind of decent right now? But they could not hold off Miami in Detroit, and they do lose this one. Despite Miami shooting just 21% from deep, they still get the win. 22-9 from Bam Adebayo, 18 from Caleb Martin, 18 from Terry Rozier as well. Detroit, on the flip side, also shoots poorly, 26% from deep. Led in scoring by Simone Fontecchio with 24. Big Tech has been pretty good for Detroit since landing there at the trade deadline from Utah. Jalen Duren goes 15 points and 17 rebounds on 78% shooting. Has been really, really good since the All-Star break as well. Jalen Duren looks like a monster and kind of the guy we saw early on at the beginning of the season. Cade Cunningham probably has his worst game since the All-Star break, 11 points on just 33% shooting. Then in the next game, Phoenix taking on the Hornets in Charlotte, and the Phoenix Suns take this one as you would expect. Another team that shoots poorly from deep, just 28.9% from 3, 21 points from Booker, 15 from Beal, 17 from Grayson Allen, just 13 from Kevin Durant. No player on Phoenix even crosses 20 points, but the scoring is balanced enough that they can still pull off the win. Charlotte gets 20 from Grant Williams and 21 from Vasilije Micic, who's been really good over the past few games, even at this play where he faked out KD and got the layup, which was really nice. But I like what I'm seeing from the former EuroLeague MVP, just 16% from 3 for Charlotte. That kind of feels like the theme of the night right now is poor 3-point shooting. Then you have a game with the Orlando Magic facing the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors are missing a ton of players. No Scotty Barnes. RJ Barrett is out because his brother sadly passed away, so RIP to him. Prayers out to RJ Barrett and his family, but he was not playing in this game. Neither was Jakob Poeltl or Chris Boucher, so the Magic take advantage of the Raptors missing a ton of guys. 16 for Jalen Suggs, 17 for Banchero, 19 for Franz Wagner. Again, no player that goes over 20, but they do shoot the ball well, 45% from deep. And then Toronto goes over 40% from deep as well at 41.2. They get 31 points from Gary Trent Jr., but the rest of the guys don't step up quite enough, and because of that they fall short. So then we have Nuggets versus the Spurs. Read the logo wrong. Nuggets versus Spurs in San Antonio. Another game where the better team is heading to a different arena, but still the better team gets the win because the Nuggets pull this one off and continue to look like the best team in the NBA right now. 117-106, they beat the Spurs, shoot 40% from deep, 31 for Jokic, 15, 10, and 8 for Jamal Murray, almost picks up the triple-double. But those are really the only guys that played out for them. 17, 9, and 2 from Victor Wembanyama. Just couldn't really do it against Jokic like we've seen him do it against others. And because of that, the Spurs fall short because if Wemby doesn't play well, the Spurs just aren't going to win. And that feels like a pretty strong theme. The Jazz take down the Atlanta Hawks in a close one, 124-122. Vit Krejci gets a shot at the buzzer to win this one for Atlanta. Indiana, and it misses. Utah led in scoring by Keontae George, 25 points. I've said this over the past few videos. Keontae George is taking off right now, and you got to watch him if you haven't, because it's been really impressive to watch him score at the level he's been able to. 21 for Colin Sexton. Still no Lauri Markkanen or Jordan Clarkson, but they pick up the win at home regardless. 33 for DeJounte Murray, but does shoot sub 40% from the field. And then DeAndre Hunter, maybe his best game of the season, 27 points on 59% shooting. But that'll do it for this night in the NBA. Another night in the NBA. Now let's move on to the next segment. This is the Moneyline Hotline, the place that keeps your bets from going cold. It was another perfect day for the Moneyline Hotline yesterday. The best bet was a parlay. Weren't great solo games yesterday, and it was a hit at minus 210. The Nuggets over the Spurs and the Suns over the Hornets, both games hit, and that one was minus 210, turned $10 to $14.76. But with the best bet, if you're following along with the ladder, you would have got more than that. We'll get into that in a second. With the underdogs, it was projected Clippers if Harden played. Harden was out and the Pelicans won, so that one was a hit as well. The return wouldn't have been as good, but still that one was a hit. And then in terms of the parlay, Nuggets, Suns, Magic, and Heat to win, plus 171. That one hit as well. Could have turned $10 to $27.19, almost tripled your money. But now let's get into that best bets ladder I was talking about, because we have hit the first 3 days in a row with Nuggets over the Heat starting out, turned 10 to 16.49, turned that to 25.36 with the Knicks and Bucks to win, which both hit, and then Nuggets and Suns yesterday turned that to 37.44. And then today we'll take a break from the parlays. I will probably take a parlay as my bet today, but again, this is the best bet, the solo bet. It's Cavs minus 196 versus the Rockets. The Rockets have won a couple games without Alperen Şengün, but when you look at the opponent, it's not quite as nice because it was over the Pistons and Wizards, I believe. So not quite as impressive of a showing as you might expect. And then on the flip side, the Cavs have Donovan Mitchell back, won their last game despite him not playing well. So I think with him returning and possibly playing better, they should take advantage of no Şengün for the Rockets. That is an early game as well. So if you wanted to bet this game and then get the parlay I'll tell you about, you could do that as well, because Cavs Rockets is a 5 o'clock game. Then we're looking at model predictions today as a whole, March 16th. The best bet, Cavs plus 4.1 according to the model, which is a standard game, not a flip or a clear favorite, but we have hit 6 straight standard games, so that bodes well for that. Cavs minus 196, turn your $10 to $15.10. And then we look at the underdog pick. It is Knicks plus 0.8 over the Kings. It is 0.1 if OG Anunoby's out. I don't love the pick personally, but the model did predict it. But the Kings, to me, are really up and down. That's true, but they have looked good against good teams. Analytics doesn't love a lot of their players outside of Domantas Sabonis, but they do win a lot of games and are really frustrating. So the Kings are a team I usually stay away from. But for the parlay today, we have the Pacers against the Nets in Indiana, the Bulls over the Wizards, no Tyus Jones for Washington, no Kobe White for the Bulls either, but I believe they won their last game without Kobe White. That game against Indiana, the overtime win. And then the Thunder versus the Grizzlies. It's possible that Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane both play today, but they are listed as questionable. And either way, when they were playing earlier in the season, the Grizzlies didn't exactly inspire confidence. And then in the last one of the day, it is Timberwolves to win over the Utah Jazz. Potentially still no Lowry and Clarkson for Utah, and the Timberwolves need wins. I just don't think that the Jazz will win 2 nights of their back-to-back, but who knows. But I'm taking the Timberwolves there, and all of that to win is plus 132. Turn $10 to $23.28, over double your money, almost 1.5 exit. Pretty solid outcome for that. I believe that the Pacers and Bulls are both clear favorites, and then the Thunder and Timberwolves are both super favorites, I believe. I'll pull it up and check just to be sure, but it looks pretty good. So yeah, Pacers, Bulls, clear favorites. Timberwolves and Thunder are both super favorites. In games that are at least clear favorites, the model has predicted 11 straight correctly. So you're looking pretty good there. This parlay does have some risk to it. It has more games in it, but it has a solid payout as well. I'm going to use this as my ladder today, but that's up to you. Let's move on to the top 5 players of the day according to me. By the way, follow the Twitter at @the_money_line to get the picks as soon as they are available. But Zion Williamson at number 1, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, and almost 70% from the field. Really good game from Z. Jokic at 2, 31 points, 7 and 5, 68% from the field in their win over the Spurs. 31 for Gary Trent Jr., including 7 made threes on 7 of 11, or 64% from deep. Bam Adebayo comes in at 4 in their win over Detroit. 22 points, 9 rebounds, 5 stocks. I believe it was 2 steals and 3 blocks, and 71% from the field. Then we have DeJounte Murray rounding out the top 5 with 33, 7 and 9. As well as 2 steals. But then we can get in the top play of the day, which is this one, a Jalen Johnson poster alley-oop slam over his former teammate John Collins. A little poetic justice there as the student overtakes the master. You love to see it. But I didn't put up a viewer submitted questions post today, so we don't have any. So that'll do it for this night in the NBA, another night in the NBA. Hopefully you enjoy the daily recaps. I love making them, so let me know down below. Think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 13,000 subscribers. But again, hopefully you enjoyed. That's going to be it for me today. Have a good one, guys. Peace.